Hey everyone, welcome to the Fullest podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Bostwick, and today's guest is a friend of mine that I met years ago on a wellness retreat, and we hit it off right away. We were on a wellness retreat in Peru with David Wolf, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And Dr. Laura and I realized that we live in the same town. So it was really special to get to know her, and we just spent time with her throughout the years catching up. And I'm so excited to have her on the podcast today and to share more about her work and her journey with you guys. Hi, Dr. Laura.
Hi, Nikki. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I remember our trip. It was just so amazing. And the fact that we are both lefties too.
I know. Oh my gosh, how funny that you remember that. I was so inspired by you when I met you, and I'm just so excited to talk to you more, and I feel so blessed to have you in the same town. And for those of you listening, just the other day, I shared this as well, like on my Instagram, but Dr. Laura lives like up the street from me. And so we'll like see each other time and again, like if we're walking and stuff. But the other day, my daughter Grace had a really high fever. And I remembered a story that Dr. Laura had mentioned to me years ago about her son and how one time he had a high fever and there was like this one point on your hand that helps reduce fever it's an acupuncture point, and she uses like a thick needle, and she did it one time on her son and it worked really well to break the fever. And so it was just really funny because I kept thinking to myself, I need to talk to her. I need her to come and do it. And she's so sweet, so gracious. And she came over and we both kind of stared at my daughter and felt really, really bad that we were about to poke her with this thick needle, but it worked. And I was so grateful because Grace had COVID and the fever would not break, and she was losing steam and getting so tired as a 5-month-old. And with her medical condition, she needs to eat and she wasn't eating. So it's like this whole thing. But anyways, I am just really excited because that's just one little thing from many things that we can learn from you. And so I can't wait to get into this. But basically, let's hop into the first question. A quick read of your bio, and it's not quick because you've done so much to study and you're qualified in so many fields. You have a PhD in Oriental medicine, a Master of Science in Acupuncture and Chinese medicine, a Bachelor of Science in Holistic Science, and are a certified nutritionist on the board of the Accreditation Council for Alternative and Traditional Medicine. You're a Kundalini yoga teacher, studied at, I'm going to butcher this, how do you say that? Zhejiang Chinese Medical University, and are the author of The Viking Diet, and of course are a mother and the founder of SynerChii, which is an amazing supplement company that we're also going to talk about today. So my first question is, have you always been an eternal student of health and alternative medicine? And what was your path that led you to devote your life and life force to such an extensive healing path?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I think my background is really interesting because I grew up in Latvia, and Latvia was part of Soviet Union when I was a little girl. And it was communism, and that was not a good part, but but the good part was that everything was more natural. And so I just grew up with all these plants around me, and we just have all these medicinal flowers and herbs just in the meadows and a garden. Every fall we would go and pick up mushrooms in a forest. We'd pick up chanterelles and porcinis and cook them right there for dinner. So I was so connected to the nature and how, and if you're stressed out, you pick up this herb, and if you can't sleep, you pick up chamomile in your garden and you drink the chamomile tea and it calms you down. So that's how I grew up. And also I never saw any kind of these things that like obesity and like in my school, there was not one kid who was obese or who had allergies or anything like that. So
Wow.
so when I came to United States when I was 20 years old, because I had a girlfriend who was living in Los Angeles at the time, and she offered me to come and stay. And when I was flying, so interesting thing is, friend of mine gave me this book when I was before my flight. It was called Nature Feeds, Nature Heals. And this book, I read this book on a flight to America, and this book talked about all these natural, plants and things, and how the natural things can heal you, and how we really supposed to really eat more plants, and there will be this new race of people who will be these strong, plant eaters, and so I decided to become vegetarian on that flight.
Wow.
So I've been
I
vegetarian.
love that story.
Yes, I've been vegetarian 25 years now. And so then,
That's amazing.
so when I arrived in Los Angeles, and I could not believe my eyes, because I was like, wait, like allergies and autism and asthma and obesity and like things I've never seen in my life. I never seen that.
Hey everyone, I wanted to share a little bit more about SynerChii with you. You'll learn more about it in this episode, and you'll learn more about Dr. Laura, who is the founder of the brand. But basically, I wanted to share because we don't typically endorse a lot of supplements because the majority are not high integrity, in particular when it comes to omegas. And unfortunately, omegas are one of the most important nutrients for our bodies, as it works at a cellular level to support basically every other system. Many omega-3 brands aren't great, and they might even be harmful. Think the heavy metals and microplastics that are found in rancid fish oils. It's really hard not to get disheartened when you're trying to take control of your health and think you're doing the right thing, and then you find out that even your omega-3 is potentially trying to kill you. But there are incredible, well-researched and practicing health practitioners that are coming out with clean solutions. We love SynerChii for this reason. It's formulated by one of my favorite East Asian medicine practitioners, Dr. Laura Capina, who you've gotten to know in this episode and who has decades of study under the world's best teachers and scientists. Her liquid formula is liposomal micellized, meaning it's highly absorbable for the body. And she has also combined it with a form of vitamin E called delta tocotrienol, which is an extremely powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-aging. If you've been looking to add a legitimate omega into your wellness practice, check them out at SynerChii.com. That's SynerChii.com, and get 15% off your SynerChii order using code TheFullest15 at checkout. Happy healing! Just like random offshoot question, but did you guys vaccinate a lot? Like, was there a childhood vaccination schedule in Latvia?
Yeah,
or no?
so we had, but very, very, very few, compared, like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
probably maybe had 4 or 5 vaccines in our childhood, and now what, there's like 70, like for,
I know, yeah.
it's just unreal. And so that's probably plays big part for sure. And also just less chemicals, and the food was actual food, we ate actual food. Here, I think people just eat like all these chemical processed things. When you look at ingredients, like silicon dioxide, titanium dioxide, colors, red, blue, 40, like that's not food. People eat non-edible things, and of course your body is going to react to it, and allergies. But and the second thing what led me, I think, to this was, when I was 23, I went to India. Me and 2 of my girlfriends, we went to India, and that trip totally changed my life. So I saw how poor the people were, but they were happy. They were just laying on the street, just they have nothing. They don't even have a toothbrush, and they were just smiling. And that just was the second biggest shock of my life. And I was like, wait, why is in America everybody on Prozac, and there they have nothing and they're happy,
Yeah.
So
what do you think that was about?
So
Like, do you think
yeah,
just like lifestyle in general or?
yeah, that's very interesting. There is something definitely very cultural about it, where people just, I think, appreciate little things. It's
Yeah.
we just have to always be in a state of gratitude. And when
Hmm.
you just like, you're grateful. They're just grateful to be alive. You know and
Yeah.
I think they're just less materialistic in general, but they do have a lot of very wealthy people at the same time, and they have, you know diamonds and elephants. They own
Yeah.
elephants, like every
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
has an elephant. you know
Yeah, they have quite the
yeah.
different classes,
Yes.
but like you're saying, just
Mhm.
overall in general, it's different probably. I've never been, but it's probably different than going to like a homeless encampment in Los Angeles and seeing the people there. Like,
Yeah, I feel the difference is that the homeless in Los Angeles, they have something mentally wrong in their head.
yeah,
I think most
exactly.
people in
Yeah, it's
America,
like,
because I feel like America is such a land of opportunity that if you are normal, like in your head,
yeah,
you can find a job, and you really can be successful, actually.
yeah.
Because
But
people.
if you're like on all these supplement or not supplements, medications and like do like eat all these chemicals and then do all those things and it's causing you to have like mental health issues and like all that, then it's just kind of like a slippery slope and then
Yeah,
it goes.
yeah.
Yeah. I know, I'm totally on the same page as you. And obviously like yeah, I think that it's interesting. I mean, that's just like a totally different conversation that maybe we should have you on the podcast more and we can like philosophize together. But yeah, so basically you read a book and that changed your life and then on your way to America and you also went to India. Actually, I didn't even mention, obviously this isn't in your bio, but you used to model, right?
Yeah, so I definitely am very blessed with my life experiences, and I think it all adds to who I am today, like. So in after high school in Latvia, I went to banking college for 2 years. So I definitely have that
Hmm.
financial, banking kind of like mind. and and then when I came to Los Angeles, yeah, I didn't know what to do, and I wasn't really planning to stay there, but I was just like, okay, I can live for a year or two, and I started modeling. So that was amazing. Again, like modeling and experiencing that all that Hollywood and hanging out with celebrities, and I
Yeah.
was in some movies. And so definitely, I feel like people in life like really just need to live, and just like take these experiences and be curious, and more curious you are, the
Hmm.
more you learn. That is just so many. I meet people in like their 40s, and they're like, oh, I feel like my life hasn't began yet. And I'm like, okay, so then
Wow.
when you're gonna start living, you know?
I know you have so much life in you. I mean, if anyone listening, like if you were to meet Dr. Laura, like you just have this level of energy and radiance to you that is remarkable. I've never seen it in my life. And I've met a lot of people, truly, and
maybe
I've
one
interviewed a lot
other
of people,
maybe
and
one other person is David Wolf.
yeah, exactly. David definitely has that energy level that can meet you there, but you also have this like radiance to you that is unmatched. And so I really
Oh.
believe that what you're doing is definitely a part of that and the way that you live your life. And so, I know your story, like you modeled but I love that you were part of that world. But this like natural wellness and holistic approach was, really calling for you. And then at what point did you decide to like really switch over? Did you have your son before? How did that all work out? Because I'm so inspired that you were a mother and then you were also studying. Like that's insane to me
Yeah.
because I mean, I don't feel like my life is over. I'm not one of those people at all, but I'm like, I wish that I could do that. And my kids are still really young. And of course, I have the fullest and like all that, but I just think it would be so incredible to do that. But it's a long process and it's a lot of work. So
Oh my
how
gosh.
was that journey?
Yeah. So when I came back from India, I was never the same. Like it was just like that. It was just such a shocking trip to seeing these crazy extremes, to see so much richness and to see so much poor, and just like, whoa, and I came back to Los Angeles and I was just not interested anymore in this fame and celebrities and all that. I was just like, I want to study Asian philosophy, and I want to study Buddhism and Hinduism, and I started reading these books, and I wanted to start doing yoga, and I found Kundalini yoga at the time, and I started going to Kundalini yoga classes, and I started meditating and doing and reading and doing all this research. And then a friend of mine sent me this article about this Chinese medicine and acupuncture. I was like, what is acupuncture? I was like, never even
Yeah.
heard of it. I was like, what's acupuncture? Are you sticking
Yeah.
needles in people? And and then I read that and I got so fascinated by it. And I was like, whoa, like seriously, like I can, like it's based, which was fascinating for to me the most, was that it was based on all this Asian philosophy. It's like yin and yang and the
hmm
balance, and how
hmm
how everything is the opposites. Like it's like sun and moon and heaven and earth and men and women and hot and cold and winter and summer, and how everything always has to be in balance. Like it's just so much common sense. Like I feel like people just are completely lost common sense nowadays. It's like if you're
Yeah.
hot, you need to cool down. If you're cold, you need to warm up.
Yeah.
It's like simple, And so that was that really interesting, amazing, like all this philosophy part. But then at the same time, I can heal people. So that's when I started getting into that, and then that's what I made a decision that I want to go that route and start studying that. And at the same time, I was tired of Los Angeles, tired of all that, and I met my husband at the time, and he lived in Orange County. And so yeah,
Oh,
we met, we fell in love, and he said, hey, move to Orange County. And so I moved from Los Angeles to Orange County. I thought Orange County was so boring, like what do you do there?
yeah.
But I was like, okay, but now I love it here. But yeah, and I moved here and we got married, and then kind of everything was about the same. I don't even know how I did it all. Like, thank God I was so young and full of energy. But I started Chinese medicine school, and I got pregnant, and I was going through Kundalini
Wow.
three teachers training, and then
Oh my God.
and when my baby was born, I literally remember I was like, breastfeeding him while I was repeating herbs. Ma Huang, He Shou Hu,
Wow.
da da da, like just repeating these, like it was just like there's so much memory. Chinese medicine is so hard and long to learn because there is just so much stuff to memorize. And
Yeah.
I was just memorizing, like in the shower, while driving, while feeding my child. It was just like, yeah, it was a lot. And there was few times, I'm not gonna lie, that where I was like, okay, I'm gonna give up. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I remember I had like year and a half left, and I had like 800 internship hours to finish. And I called my mom, and she was in Latvia, and I said, Mom, I don't know what to do, like I'm literally like I have this beautiful baby and I have this good life, and like why I'm, doing this. And she said you have a year left. You went so far. And she just said, just finish it. Just even if you have to take minimum amount of hours, even if it takes longer for you than for other people, but just
Yeah.
finish. And I did.
Oh,
It took me 6 years to finish the
how long does it typically take that long? Or
Uh,
you just
yeah, so it takes between 4 to 6 years. So they give you like a time frame
wow.
where you have to finish all your classes, all your internship hours, and all that. Yeah, it's minimum 4, it's
Wow.
maximum 6, to get your
Oh my
master's.
gosh. So your son was like how old? 5.5 when you finished?
Yeah, exactly. He was a
Wow.
year.
That's
Oh, he was
incredible.
like 4. He was 4, I think.
Oh, he
Yeah.
was 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And you finished your Kundalini teacher training and your Chinese medicine doctorate in
Yeah.
Chinese medicine, right? Or
Yeah, yeah.
wow,
And I
that's
was
incredible. And
meditating.
then Wow. And during that time, were you still with your husband?
Yeah, I was still with my husband, and I don't know, maybe that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel like Kundalini yoga, like when someone embarks like on a journey like that. I mean, it's funny because I think that's a lot of times people are afraid to transform because they're afraid of change and they're afraid of what they're going to find out about themselves and how their life is going to change. And so they'd rather not um, be curious and not look within themselves and not do the work. And
Hmm.
because maybe, they've heard or they think that, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not going to be with the person that I'm currently with, or maybe I have to change my job, or maybe I have to do something because I'll find something out.
Yeah.
And so I guess in this situation, I'm asking you, like, do you feel that like just embarking on this journey and continuing is like why I've actually never personally talked to you about it, and it might be just too personal, but I'm curious, like, did that have to do with you like kind of moving on from that relationship, or
Yeah.
did it just like kind of life unfolded that way?
It could be definitely one of the reasons, but I feel like what you just mentioned, it's more to do with like plant medicines, like so there's people who thinking about maybe trying some plant medicines, like going to like Peru or somewhere,
Yeah.
Brazil, and doing like ayahuasca, and that's where they
Mm-hmm.
are afraid to do it because they're afraid they're gonna find out something about themselves and stuff. And I've done that,
Yeah.
by the way, and I encourage everyone to do it. But that
Yeah.
my journey with learning and studying Chinese medicine and meditating and doing Kundalini, and no, it never crossed my mind that like, hey, I'm gonna outgrow this person, or I'm gonna, or it might
Yeah.
be difficult in our relationship, because I was one of those people who just want to learn more, learn more, learn more, and like,
Always
yeah,
was like
always,
that.
and
Yeah.
move forward.
Totally.
Yeah, and just like complete myself, fulfill myself, and grow. And there's another word, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like, just always move
No, I
forward.
totally know what you mean. Yeah, I love that. And I love that about you, and definitely something you just can sense from just meeting you even one time. But okay, so gosh, you've done so much. It's amazing. So basically, I mentioned that you're obviously one of the most radiant, amazing people that I've met, and that you have all this energy. So can you share about your personal wellness practice from food to movement and spirituality, and like what you personally do
Yes.
for yourself?
So I'm also, I'm Chinese medicine doctor. I'm also nutritionist, but I never force like my way of being to someone else. I just
Hmm.
suggest. But personally, what I do is I do a hot yoga. And I've done a little bit of everything in my life. So but
Yeah.
at the moment I do hot yoga about 2 3 times a week, and I absolutely love
Hmm.
it. I think, and I hike a lot. I hike a lot. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I see you hiking and posting about hiking all the time,
yeah.
and I love that you hike a lot.
Yeah, so I love to hike because I move my body, and the one of the most important thing I think in today's world is to be connected to the nature. I think right now
Hmm.
people need to turn to nature more, and to breathe this fresh air, and to go and breathe. Because what they don't understand is like when they say, "Oh, I have the pollen allergy," or "I have this or that," but actually whatever nature emits, it's also okay. Some things you might be allergic to, but a lot of things are strengthening to the body. A lot of the compounds that coming out of the plants are actually making us stronger, so and on
Yeah.
so many levels, nature just like makes us happy, and so it's very important. And yoga, of course, so this is kind of vinyasa style. Like, I've done all kind of styles. I was into
Hmm.
ashtanga for a while, and I went to India with that, and like all kind of things. But at the moment I do this vinyasa style, it's just like moving, and kind of power yoga. Just move my body, I stretch, and I sweat. I think sweating is very, very another thing for health at the moment. It's more important than ever, because when you sweat out, like a lot of people like, oh, I go to the bathroom. So yeah, you eliminate that way. But the
Yeah.
skin is the largest detox organ. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
sweat, whether it's sauna or steam room or hot yoga or just a really invigorating exercise or whatever. But that's very important. So that's what I do. So physical exercise is important. And then regarding, food wise, like as I mentioned, I've been vegetarian 25 years, and I'm not saying everybody needs to be vegetarian. It works for me.
Yeah.
I'm blood type A, and
Oh, okay.
and again, I'm not, it's not that I say like, oh, you have to exactly follow the blood type program, but there is a lot of truth to it. And so my
Mm-hmm.
intuition told me that like somehow I'm just like not really digesting meat, and I just energetically don't resonate on that, so on this kind of
Mm-hmm.
energy, animal stuff, so I'm vegetarian.
I totally agree with you, and I'm so bummed that I'm O positive because I'm like, is this real? There's no way. They can't read my blood type properly.
Yeah, they say, oh,
Yeah.
they meat eaters, but yeah, but again,
Yeah.
everybody's. And then so basically I personally live on superfoods. I just like, I
Mm-hmm.
all day long, it's my smoothies, my salads, spirulina, hemp seeds, maca. I make smoothies with cilantro, with celery, with, I make, cacao drinks at night, and just, so I think it's again, in today's world, because how toxic it is,
Yeah.
let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food. The medicine needs to be food nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
because food unfortunately just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have it. Like, they say one peach in 1950, today you have to eat like 35 peaches to get the same amount of vitamins as it used to be. So it
Yeah.
just, soils are depleted, and food, we still have to eat healthy, like, obviously, but it just doesn't have it. So now we need to take herbs and superfoods and most powerful substances on the planet.
Hey everyone, as most of you have probably noticed, clean beauty has exploded in recent years. And although that's amazing, it can seem sometimes counterintuitive to go out and buy 1,000 different products, even if they're all natural. That's why from the moment I was introduced to Nucifera, I fell in love with their philosophy. Big believers that less is more, they make multi-use products from high-quality plant-based ingredients. You may have heard of their cult favorite, the balm, that's deeply moisturizing and works on everything from combating dry skin to taming hair frizz and split ends. Personally, I love their on-the-go product, the stick. It's an essential of mine, especially as a working mom. I throw it in my bag and use it for basically everything, from dry lips to deodorant to rubbing it on my belly to help with digestion. I've been raving about their products for years. I love that they're unisex and safe for kids, and they can be used on my whole family. They're being so generous to offer our listeners 15% off your order. Use code TheFullest at nuciferabody.com. That's NuciFerabody.com. Yeah, and exactly. Like, I completely agree with you. And I love that the reference to herbs and superfoods is like the main thing. And then obviously, like certain supplements as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to talk about SynerChii. And I also want to talk about, this isn't in here, but Dr. Laura, I don't know what your training was, but you trained under Dr. Bob Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
who is the founder of Premier Research Labs, who has
Mm-hmm.
since passed away, but was such an incredible man. And I had the pleasure of meeting him at one of David's longevity conferences, and I just really loved his work and followed it. So I love that you have that understanding as well of just the reason I bring that up is because his supplements, like he would energetically test them for
Mm-hmm.
people as well, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of part of what you do. And then so your supplements obviously test really well. So I
Yeah.
would love to talk about like how, your lifestyle and your life has led you to launch SynerChii, because you're also a practicing acupuncturist. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's really important to note because a lot of people launch companies and they have past experience. They're not necessarily having that experience one-on-one with people and healing people every single day. And you see so many people every single day. And your
Mm-hmm.
clinic also, um, I love that they accept insurance because most places don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you're seeing all sorts of people, people in accidents, people that
Mm-hmm.
have gone through so much. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about what you typically see, and then let's talk about like SynerChii and why you decided to launch with the particular omega products that you launched.
Yeah, so I love all these questions, and it all really comes together. So I definitely been so blessed by meeting Dr. Bob Marshall. That I met him. He was one of my. I've been just blessed with incredible mentors in general, but he was definitely my mentor, my guru. I used to shadow him. He used to have a clinic in Los Angeles. He's based in Austin, Texas, but his premier center in Santa Monica, and I used to come and shadow him every month and learn from him when he was seeing patients. And what I learned from him was that and what's incredible with all my Chinese medicine background and how all the meridians and all the acupuncture points, and so his way of testing is called quantum reflex analysis, QRA, and it's
Mm-hmm.
basically testing. It's kinesiological test, that type of muscle test, and it's testing every organ and gland point in the body and see where the weaknesses are in the body. And I do that on people, and when basically if something is weak and you give the body what it's missing, it's starting to heal. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned from him, he always said, the body is very simple. It's like people are so confused. It's unbelievable. Like people have no idea how the body works and what is good and what is bad. And like people don't even know, is salt good or bad? Is coffee good or bad? Fats
Yeah.
are good or bad. Like people just are so confused. And he just said, he said the body is very simple. It's like a car. It has these tubes and it has these wires and it has these connections, and you need to have an oil change, and you need this and you need that. And I'm just like, whoa, and basically it's much more simple than we think. Like we put in like very basic things. It's like building a house. You build a strong foundation and strong walls, you know it's not that complicated, and then you go from there. And so he has the best supplements, and I that's what I learned. Like, okay, so when you put in first of all, number one, it's quality of everything. Like, is salt good or bad? Salt is actually very, very good for you, but if it's a good quality
Mm-hmm.
salt, and the same thing
Yeah.
with anything. And so you put in these amazing substances, but what I learned from him was, he always, number one thing he put in the human body was omega-3 DHA. Omega-3 DHA. It was
Mm-hmm.
always foundation, and then he built from there. From there on was minerals, and there were B vitamins, and there were iodine, and there was digestive enzymes, and there was hydrochloric acid, and there was this and this. But number one, the base is like it was like he put in the human body field, he put DHA, and then he put something else. So I started realizing and learning about the importance of omega-3 DHA, and more I learned, the more I was like, oh my God, this is literally what makes us human. It's like a hardware of the human body. It's like a computer hardware. You cannot have a computer without the hardware. It's like the same thing. So
Yeah.
people are missing this. So from there, it's a foundation where hormones can actually build on, and everything can happen, and it's like there's so many benefits. And like, so they say that like when humans started moving to coastal regions and consuming seafood is when the frontal lobe developed, and they started reasoning and making tools. Like, it's literally what makes us human. And I see this all the time where parents bring me their children and they say, oh, my child is not focusing and can't, concentrate. And like, oh, he has ADD. We're thinking about putting him on ADD medications. And I'm just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, the poor child. It's like he's literally missing DHA. He can't focus. He doesn't have the brain can't function well without the fat, because the brain itself is made of fats, which 98% of all fatty
Yeah.
acids is DHA in the brain. And it's like they're going to put them on medications, and like all these medications alter the brain chemistry and, like deplete the neurotransmitters and everything. And it's like, I'm just like, hey, just give some DHA. And And then they call me like a few days later. They're like, "Oh, my child is actually came home and doing his homework, and like it's like I have a different child." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's this poor baby just missing something. Like things. It's like when you're driving a car without an oil. The engine can't work properly, and it's gonna start smoking.
The specific type of delta tocotrienols as well. Can you speak to that? Because I remember that being a really important.
Yeah, so that's another substance. So DHA is the basic. So like, and the reason why I started my own company, when I was working with Dr. Bob Marshall with the best supplements in the world, I never thought about ever starting my own. But even
Yeah.
though he had the best supplements, he was missing something. So his DHA
Hmm.
came in soft gels. And when you learn about,
Oh, yeah. I remember
yeah,
that you
and
saying that.
all his
Yeah.
supplements are great. He has these fermented solutions, and he has these liquids, and he has these powders. But DHA came in soft gels, and he told to every patient, "You have to take 10 soft gels every day." And it was killing me. I was like, how can anybody swallow so many soft gels every day? And when you learn what soft gels are made of, they are made of gelatin, which is
Hmm.
all the worst animal leftover parts. And then they add gums,
Yeah.
they add carrageenan, and they add guar gum. And so our stomach acids can't even digest these soft gels. That's first problem. The second problem is that the oil, even after that, in a best case scenario, even if we do break down the soft gel, but the oil that's left in our stomach is not absorbable because we are mostly water and oil doesn't mix. So this oil just
Wow.
goes out in a toilet. So people like buy,
Hmm.
"Oh, but I bought this $20 fish oil in Costco." The thing is, they're taking bunch of junk, bunch of gum, and the oil doesn't go inside their cells because it's
And it's
impossible.
oxidizing.
It's
Yeah.
oxidizing. It's
It's
fish.
going rancid.
It's rancid. The fish is all contaminated, full of heavy metals, mercury, nuclear waste, plastics, microplastics, and all that crap. And then the oil just goes out in the toilet anyways. So that's where I
Yeah.
decided, like, hey, I need to and I couldn't find absolutely anything, even though fish oil is number one sold supplement in United States, and vitamin D3 is number two
Wow.
sold, and you can't find anything in not in soft gels and in absorbable form. So I went to Whole Foods, and they have a brand called Barliance, and they have something not in soft gels, but it's fish oil, and it's not absorbable again because it's
Oh,
you know.
yeah.
So
I've
so
seen that.
so yeah. So then SynerChii, the way SynerChii is made, it's delicious, and vegan and organic and all completely natural. But it's also micellized. It's like liposomal mycel, which means that these fats are held into these molecules, and they are about 95% absorbable. It's like the most advanced absorption technology on a planet. So it's kind of like how they make these cancer targeting drugs. It's very expensive how they make it. So like, let's say you pour some SynerChii in the water and you mix it, you will see how it's completely dissolving. And none of the oils do that. Try any oil, put in the water and mix it. It always separates. So
Yeah.
that's why our SynerChii is about 95% absorbable, which is incredible. So that's why I decided to make it to make it delicious, natural, not in soft gels, and actually absorbable. Because who needs the most omegas? I mean, everybody, but really is babies, children, and old people. And can they
Hmm.
swallow soft gels, and can they absorb soft gels? Can 3-4-year-old swallow a soft gel? It's like disgusting. So this one is
Yeah,
delicious,
totally.
So that was my idea of creating SynerChii and making something so special. And the delta tocotrienol that you mentioned, so that's another conversation. So basically, vitamin E is the only antioxidant that can protect fats from oxidation. So there's
Oh,
a lot of
wow.
antioxidants, right? Like the amazing carotenoids and lutein and astaxanthin and resveratrol and so many amazing. but only one family of antioxidants, is vitamin E family, can protect the fats from oxidation. So that's why, like, you put vitamin E oil on your skin because it protects your fatty, parts of your skin. You put vitamin E oil on your scars. You when you buy food and supplements, you can see that vitamin E is added for freshness because it protects that food or that supplement from spoiling. Like a lot of vitamin E, which a lot of people don't know, but a lot of vitamins in general are synthetic. Okay, made in a lab. They are all bad. All these multivitamins, all these synthetic A, B, C, D, like all that stuff is synthetic. It's chemicals and should be avoided. People just swallow,
Wow.
people just take all these synthetic vitamins and they think they're doing something good, but it causes a lot of problems to people. And so vitamin E in a synthetic form is actually very dangerous and actually in the long run can cause cancer. But in natural,
Wow.
and people just have no
And
idea.
how is there synthetic and not, is delta tocotrienol the only non-synthetic form of it?
No, so they are natural other forms as well, but they just not
Mm-hmm.
as powerful. So there's 8 forms of
Yeah,
vitamin
yeah.
E. There is alpha, beta, gamma, delta tocopherols and tocotrienols. And usually people
Wow.
take alpha tocopherol form. So that one is very common. It's found in like walnuts
Mm-hmm.
and different things.
Mm-hmm.
But this delta tocotrienol form is being found in couple plants, but so far it's only found in one plant on a planet in such high
Whoa.
concentrations. It's this plant called anato in Amazon jungle, and they found it 87% of delta tocotrienol substance in this plant, which is huge. And so
Wow.
it comes from this plant, yeah. And there is one really famous scientist who he's a vitamin E scientist. He discovered it and he brings it in. He's on the East Coast and he brings it in and processes this substance. And this substance is so incredible. It's literally protects us from inside out. It repairs all our skin from inside out, all our blood vessels. It's the most powerful anti-inflammatory. It's like more needed now than ever. It's so good for the heart. What's happening right now with all the radiation, with the 5Gs, with all the stuff, what's happening is that a lot of people, the blood is getting very sticky right now. Radiation makes your
Mm-hmm.
blood sticky. So the vitamin E is a blood
Yeah.
thinner.
Wow.
So it thins your blood, it prevents,
Wow.
yeah. So it's more needed than ever. So this combination of omega-3 DHA plus delta tocotrienol, there is nothing like it. And it's rejuvenates us from inside out and makes our cell membranes very, very strong. Right now it's very important to more than ever to make our bodies stronger with these powerful substances.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you made SynerChii because it makes so much sense. And I love that you share on your packaging too. Like, because it's important that people know, like, it's why it's important to eat well and to do all these things because our whole body is being ridden with chemicals, radiation, like you mentioned, 5G. We're aging already.
Hmm.
There's pollutants in the atmosphere. There are so many toxins, like we can't control all that and we don't want to stress about it every single day, but when you take things that can support you, like you mentioned, the omega-3 DHA and the vitamin E, tocotrienols,
Hmm.
delta tocotrienols, and then when you do all the other things, like you mentioned, how important it is to sweat every day and to move your body. And I mean, if you're able to go see an acupuncturist and you're lucky enough to see someone like Dr. Laura, like just so incredible. And
Yeah.
I love that message, and I think it's so important to feel empowered that there are things that we can do
Hmm.
versus stress about it. You know, I mean, there
Exactly.
are people that are hacking all of this for us so that we can support our body. And that's the other thing about your supplement is that, like you said, the people that need it most, like the children, the elderly population, all those people, it's hard for them to swallow all these capsules. So
Hmm.
to have it in the form that you do, where they could add it to their morning oatmeal or take a spoonful or put it on yogurt, whatever it is, I think that that's brilliant. And I love that you did that. And I love seeing it popping up in all the local stores that I go to. And I'm so excited that people are, catching on and taking it. And I love your mission of just wanting to heal more people, and I'm excited for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely it's my passion, you know. I just want to heal people, and I want them to understand that it's like they can do it. It's possible. They can feel
Yeah.
amazing, you know. They're not gonna, you know, they have to understand that like all that, you know, these pharmaceutical ads they see on TV and whatever doctors, this is like whoever, you know, that natural substances work way better, you know, without side effects. But like but you can't patent them, you know. So nobody can patent and say, hey,
Yeah.
this is my, you know, mushroom or my turmeric, you know, or whatever. So like when you can't make a lot of money, you're not going to have enough money to like pay millions of dollars on these TV ads or something, you know.
Hmm.
So people just like, you know, people are just so programmed, you know, to just but by whoever
Ask
can
for the
pay more.
pills.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's crazy that we allow that sort of advertising in our country. It's really
Mhm.
sad, but luckily, like more and more people are learning about things through alternative
Mhm.
sources of media or through social media, podcasts, like all that. So I think it's really exciting. I mean, unfortunately, there's so much censorship, and like then
Mhm.
you can't even say that vitamin C is good for you or that omega-3 is going to heal this, and
Mhm.
you don't need Adderall. Like it's ridiculous that Adderall gets to be promoted all over the place, but then
Yeah.
DHA doesn't. But
Yeah.
it is, the world that we live in. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I guess my last question for you is just although healing is non universal and everyone is on their own path, like you mentioned, what's the one piece of healing wisdom that you wish more people knew?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's an interesting question. You know, I think you say non-universal. I actually kind of don't agree with that. I actually think the healing is universal if you give it the right foundational tools. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I body is very capable of healing, and body wants to heal. And I see this with my patients all the time, where you know the only time when it's too late is like when they really neglect it to the point where it's just like when the organs started when they take out organs, like when they're like, oh, something
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work right, let's take the gallbladder out, you know, or the thyroid out or something, or like any liver is capable of completely rejuvenating, rebuilding, unless it's like full on cirrhosis, like full on scar tissue, you know. So but
Yeah.
if you're not to that point, if I see someone in at that point where the organs are taken out, like unfortunately it will never be the same. But before, until that, its body is completely capable of full healing. And I have patients who are on thyroid medications, for example, and when doctors say, you know, once you go on thyroid medications you can never go off, it's not true. When you
Yeah.
give the right iodine, thyroid needs iodine. This, I want to mention
Mm-hmm.
this. This is so important right now with all this radiation, what's going on, and also with all these halogens in the environment, like chlorine and fluoride and bromide and all that things. All these things are coming in your body. If we don't have enough iodine, we don't have protection. That's a very important, especially for women, because iodine is feeding our thyroid, but also our breasts and all our glands in our body, you know. So when you give
Yeah.
the right nutrient to what it needs, it starts functioning, it starts working and better, and then they can go up. And I have a lot of patients off thyroid medications. So I guess what I want to say is that if you give the body the right tools and the right basic substances, it will work better and will start healing actually. But I just want to tell people that, you know, natural substances really work.
Mm-hmm.
Please, like I see this all the time. It's like I keep telling patients, like, and then they still like took, you know, Advil, and they still took NyQuil and Benadryl and
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, I just told you, like, this thing, there is such
It
power,
works.
you know, it works, and without side effects, you know, they really work. There is
I
so
know.
many amazing things. So, for example, like there is this one supplement. It's called these are called these nucleotides, like nucleotides are building
Yeah.
blocks of our DNA, right? So they work so good when you get sick for viral infections, like for COVID. Like all my friends and family, whoever like got COVID, I gave them these nucleotides. They all got well in 2 days. Everybody, every single person,
Wow.
and it's like, and it's natural,
Wow.
so these things work. So please, start thinking about these natural things, and don't always reach for the chemicals and that, because that's not an answer. I mean, of course it has its place, I'm not saying 100% never, but yeah.
Totally.
So and another thing I wanted to also bring attention to, that teeth is a very, very big missing link for a lot of people when they can't heal,
Yeah.
I see this in my practice all the time, where if there is infections in the teeth and all these heavy metals, like all these metal fillings in the teeth, they can never be healthy because these gases are constantly leaking. And these people, I see this, like, where they're like, oh yeah, I have a brain fog, or the thyroid is not working properly. And then the hairs, and when thyroid is not working properly, they start gaining weight, and they tired, and their hair is falling out, and then they have, and all that stuff. So I tell them, like, hey, check your teeth, because your body can never ever be healthy until you remove these metals, and you take care of these infections. Because imagine if you have infection in a body, your body can never heal, because it's constantly fighting something. It's exhausting for the body,
Yeah.
to constantly fight something. So definitely, keeping teeth healthy, that's a very, very big thing, and I see this every single day with my patients.
I know, and I think that it's I completely agree with you, and I think it's another difficult area because, like, I think a lot of people are starting to learn about removing their fillings and doing all that, but then when they have an active issue, like you said, people then just resort to whatever they have on hand or whatever they think is going to be the best. So, like, if there's pain, if someone's experiencing pain, doesn't
Hmm.
whether it has to do with their teeth or not,
Hmm.
they're gonna go to the Tylenol or
Hmm.
Advil or whatever it is that they're gonna take. If they have the fever, they want the Tylenol. If they
Hmm.
have whatever else, they're resorting to those pills. Or if there's something issue with their teeth, and I don't even know the answer. And I think it's so important. It's like, okay, your dentist tells you need a root canal. Like at that point, like you said, like there's certain point where the body goes where, like, if there's cirrhosis of the liver and it's not, you can't save it, that's different. But like for the most part, 99% of the time, hopefully you can save it. So it's
Hmm.
like I need to figure that out. I never know that answer. Like some people are like, "Oh my God, I went to the dentist. I need a root canal," and I'm like, "Well, first off, get several opinions, but then third, of like second off, like, do you know? I don't know the answer to what to say. I'm not a dentist, but is there an alternative treatment?
Hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you know that, but
Yeah. Well, people
I
need
think
to
that
do
it's hard. Yeah,
more research for
it's
sure.
hard to
Hmm.
know yeah, if there are alternatives, because even like a lot of holistic dentists are like still, I don't know, there's just like still a lot of people that are like now getting into holistic medicine maybe, and they are regular doctors, but then they're still not to that level of like, no, don't do this.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to hear from people such as yourself, or specific to those fields, that really understand that there are, or hopefully could be, an alternative.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And people just need to, think for themselves and do the research and get several opinions, and not just exactly. And if there is a symptom, then don't ignore it. Yeah, don't just take Tylenol and that's it. It's like you're not gonna, like, if you drive a car and check the engine light, you're not gonna just keep driving, right? So, but then people with these symptoms of, like, pain and this, they just keep going. And I'm like, well, you take better care of your
Yeah.
car than your body, and longer you have the symptom, worse, longer it takes to heal. It's like if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I threw out my back yesterday. It's like really in pain. I do acupuncture on them, like, today and maybe tomorrow, and they heal so fast. They're like after a couple treatments, they'll
Yeah.
be better, but then I have people who like, oh, I was in a car accident 10 years ago and I never really took care of it and it's getting worse. And they are in so much pain now, but it's chronic now, like chronic inflammation. And we're healing them, healing them, healing them, and they're just not getting better. And then slowly, and it takes way longer. So people need to be
Yeah.
more proactive. And another thing is, also people need to start thinking about the body as a whole versus separate things. I had a patient yesterday where she was like, my hair is falling out, so and then it's like, what do they do for hair falling out? They start thinking, oh, I'll take biotin, or I'll put this oil in my scalp, or
Hmm.
but then I'm also losing weight, so she's starving herself, and then something else, gaining weight, sorry, and then all these things. And I say, listen, stop concentrating on all these separate things, but start thinking about how you can heal your body fundamentally. So she has very, very
Yeah.
bad teeth, like a lot of like all these heavy metals and infections. And she even told me that. And I looked at her teeth, it was scary. So all those all those metals are like, affecting her thyroid, which that's why her hair is falling out. That's why she can't lose weight. It's affecting her brain. It's creating all this brain fog and all these things. So like if she took care of her teeth and took care of foundationally of her problems, then all these things would improve, instead of just like looking at things. This is what they teach us in Western world, like look at things separately. Like you have a headache, take an Advil, you have this. But no, like you have to look at the body as a whole, because everything is connected. And like you're
Yeah.
always hurting yourself more if you don't take care of it in a correct way. If you have you can, there's like so many reasons why you can have a headache. You can have you might be just thirsty, dehydrated, just drink some water, or hungry, or stressed out, or maybe it's a migraine and you have you need some magnesium. And just things
Hmm.
like that. And there's so many things, and you do it the right way and you take care of it. It's yeah, it's like it's just, the whole way of thinking is just, unfortunately, it's kind of sad in the Western world. So we need to go back to
Yeah.
that wholeness.
I love that. That's such a beautiful way to end the discussion, is really just it goes back to changing your perspective and your thinking and really thinking about the entire body, or like you said, wholeness. I love that.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. And
Oh.
for those of you listening, I'm sure I'm going to mention this in a segment on this podcast, but we do have a special code for fullest listeners for Dr. Laura's SynerChii line, and it is the fullest 15 that you'll be able to use on her website, and you'll be able to get 15% off. So thank you so much for offering that for our listeners, and I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yeah, I just really want, everyone to take it, and it's just so delicious, and and it's such a delicious way to strengthen your body. And I'm just excited. I just want to heal the world, and I want to see a healthy and happy planet.
Yeah, well, if anyone has the pleasure of ever meeting you or connecting with you, they'll definitely feel that. We
Oh,
all need more of your energy in our lives. So thank you.